Hello, everybody, and welcome to a live edition of the Market Down Podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined tonight by Chad Big Bad Johnson, Danny Hernandez, and James Gisante, going over the latest episode of AEW Dynamite. We had a ladder match for the undisputed TNT Championship, and a great lights out match, which included a very nice, very evil debut. So let's start off with the ladder match for the undisputed TNT Championship between the current TNT champion, Cody Rhodes, and the interim TNT champion, Sammy Guevara. Danny, I know you were mentioning earlier that you don't really love one-on-one ladder matches, but I thought the pacing of this match for a one-on-one ladder match was very good, and the spots that they took in this were pretty fucking vicious. So, no swearing this episode. So I really liked it.
Oh, no swearing. That's gonna be tough. But the match was good. Why are we gonna start off? I don't want to start off being negative, but I liked the match. It was really good. The spots were insane. The cutter off the ladder, that was such a steep fall. Oh my god. But that brings me to my problem with one-on-one ladder matches. How does the match carry on after that? How's anyone up in time to stop another person from climbing the ladder after a move like that? Sammy hit his finisher on the outside, and it was like a good GTH. He hit Cody square. It looked painful. Cody was on his feet within 10, 15 seconds for the next spot. That's why I don't like one-on-one ladder matches, because it's just, there's no selling. And the match ended with, like as it always does in these scenarios, with two people on the ladder, one person knocks the other person off, and that's that. But there was so many times where the other person should not have gotten up, like a crossroads off the ladder, or Sammy's insane swanton off the ladder, which that ladder didn't budge, which I think made it way worse for Sammy.
That looks so bad. Oh
yeah. But despite my grievances with one-on-one ladder matches, I couldn't help but just get so excited watching this, because Sammy went insane. Cody had his moments too. You can't kiss your biceps and flex for the crowd and be a baby face, a blue-eyed baby face, no less. But
Aha. I agree. I concur.
Well, Chad, what do you think then?
Oh man, that match was great as F. I forgot we can't swear.
Because you caught yourself.
Well, yeah, that match was great to me. The cutter off the ladder was probably one of the most innovative moves I've seen in a really long time. It was intense. It was mind-bending. It was almost like watching a thriller movie. I loved every second of it. Cody shined wonderfully. It was great.
Yeah, that was a serious drop too. And let's not forget the hesitation or stalling suplex off the top of the ladder at the beginning of the match too. Yeah. Both of those were good, 20-foot drops. I mean, Jesus, these guys are taking serious bumps in this match. James, I want to go to you about the match before I want to get into a little Cody stuff, because I have a theory.
This was an absolute highlight reel. This is going to be the match that in years time we go back and we look just at some of Sammy's greatest hits. And I know there are more to come, but to go off something Chad said, I don't know how innovative the cutter itself was, but how flawlessly it was done. We've seen RKOs off ladders. We've seen moves off ladders.
Oh, okay, James, you're making a great point. I'm very sorry to cut you off, but
it's fair. I made it 10 seconds, guys. I made it 10 seconds.
We haven't really seen RKOs off of ladders as much as we've seen Orton pull people off of ladders and hit RKOs.
True.
Or maybe from the third rung he's jumped at most. This
point.
was another level, but carry on with the
especially with the springboard too.
Right. I agree with Danny. Yeah. I've never seen a cutter like that off the ladder. I'll say it that way.
Absolutely. Sammy definitely, this match played to Sammy's strengths, and he did not hesitate to deliver. He gave us so much stuff. As a diehard Jeff Hardy fan, seeing that swanton from the ladder outside, onto Cody. Yep, I'm not even ashamed of it. I'm not even ashamed of it. And it was great. It was great. And I won't lie to you, that crossroads that Cody hit on to Sammy. Again, we've seen, I'm pretty sure, crossroads off ladders before, but it looked like Sammy's face legitimately bumped off the mat. Like it looked like he face planted onto the mat. And both of these guys just gave 100%. I'm one of, I think, many people who, one, was upset that Cody was once again champion. I am one of many people who thought Cody was walking out tonight again as champion. And it was a pleasant surprise. I'm going to give the win truly to Fuego. If it wasn't for Fuego, like, I mean, did Sammy win or did Fuego win? And I cannot wait for how Dos, son of Fuego, is going to react. But
why? They're what does he have to do with this?
He has opinions. He has opinions, and I want to know them. And it was great match. I pleasantly surprised, happy to eat crow on this one. And, you know, I'm excited to see who's Sammy's next challenger. Not to get past this match, but I'm excited to see what comes next.
So, yeah, we'll eat some humble pie, me and James. We're very dismissive of Sammy last week. And, you know, but to protect us a little bit, what was the point of all of this?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Just the champion again. Absolutely.
There was no reason for Cody to have become champion, but even if you're going to go that way, there was no need for Sammy to become interim champion when he was already going to have a rematch.
Yeah, you didn't have to have Cody win, but Cody winning is way more intriguing than Sammy just being, because you know what he's going to do? He's going to face Men of the Year next. Who the fuck cares? Like, how many times can we see these guys lose matches? Like, it just doesn't matter.
It's true.
I do want to go back to the moves for a second that we were talking about, especially the cutter and the crossroads, because James, you said the way that they fell looked so ugly, and I was just amazed at how they each held each other's necks in place so they didn't snap in half. I genuinely thought one of them was going to break their necks doing that. And I do want to hop in. The chat has been Eric. Hi, Eric. He did mention, you know, the thing with AEW is moves like that aren't finishers. Well, not in this instance, they don't kick out, but I guess more to Danny's point, they do get up rather quickly, especially in this ladder match. So, I mean, I do understand that being a criticism of AEW. I don't mind it more in the regular matches, but I think, again, to Danny's point, in the ladder matches, it's not really the best thing because it just kind of screws up the timing and the realism.
I will say something to bounce off Danny, because I went into tonight thinking the same thing as him. I'm typically not a big fan of one-on-one ladder matches because pacing is always such an issue. But Sammy definitely went to the school of Dolph Ziggler, of people who don't forget how to climb ladders when they're hurt. You know, he didn't do the he shot up like a bat out of hell. Sorry, R.I.P. Meatloaf. But like, or I don't know, bat out of hell. I'm looking down. I don't know.
No, you're probably at the first time. Go.
I don't know. But regardless, he when he saw an opportunity, he jumped up that ladder. It wasn't any of that slow climb bullshit that people do. It was, these guys are racing to the ladder. Granted, you have to suspend some disbelief, you know, you have to deal with, wow, okay, he just shot up from a crossroads from the top of the ladder. But I still believe that, you know, that move hurt Cody a little bit, jumping off the top. Mm-hmm. So I could buy there being some hesitation, but yeah, I love it.
That's just where you need a third person coming in, you know, like that's why multi-man ladder matches work and singles ones don't necessarily. And I gotta agree with this random fan in our chat that's like, you know, the cutter is a little overdone, but you know, these are the two people I don't mind doing cutters right now. I love the Cody cutter off the middle rope. I love this cutter that Sammy did in this match, but yeah, that's. My personal gripes and pet peeves with singles ladder matches doesn't take away from the madness that these two put on. Well, yeah. Maybe a little, I guess. But.
I also think that because of Orton's like just complete stranglehold on the RKO in WWE, that we're so unused to seeing cutters as a regularly used move outside of maybe like Cena's brief run using it. That now in AEW that those restrictions are lifted, people can actually use the damn cutter. That like it's almost not overwhelming, but we're just like, oh, there's another cutter. Oh, there's another. When really it's not used that often.
Did you drift off during Cody's 30-minute promo last week when he was talking about Jay Lethal's cutter being the only one that people don't kick out of anymore, Nick? Come on. Man.
No, I remember. I'm just saying, like, yeah, there are more people using cutters than we're used to seeing if you only watch WWE, because one dude and the occasional returning WCW star were the only people who have used it there in like the last 30 years. And Cena for like a week because it wasn't.
I guess fuck QT Marshall.
I don't even remember him in WWE. I'm not gonna lie.
Did you say QT Marshall?
Yeah.
Okay, it sounded. First of all, you cursed. We're not supposed to curse, but it sounded like you were saying F-U-T Marshall, not F-Q-T Marshall.
What's gonna happen with all these cursing? Are we getting bleeped? Are we getting censored?
No, just Danhausen will curse you probably.
Okay.
And you just have to live with that.
All right, that'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's not like he's anywhere.
Well, we don't know where he is now. Like we'll get to that in a bit, but he could be anywhere. We don't know.
We know where he is. He's shopping at A&W.
Yeah, well, we'll just go. Let's just skip right to that. Danhausen under the ring in the middle of the lights out match is probably the greatest debut of all time. Prove me wrong.
I cannot. I can't. I lose.
I mean, it's just so perfectly in character for him, just randomly being under the ring during the match, just holding on to a chair, coming out, apparently cursing Adam Cole, and then walking off without saying anything or giving no explanation or nothing.
In a main event match with no announcements or anything.
Yeah.
Just pop up.
But real talk, though, how beautiful was it that there didn't need to be this gigantic debut and the entire crowd was chanting Danhausen? They were so
refreshing.
hyped for him. They were so ready for this to happen.
That might have been the biggest pop of the night. It probably was.
Probably was.
It was refreshing.
Yeah, you probably argue something from maybe like the ladder match, but I think Danhausen had it beat.
I think so.
Yeah, I think you did. To answer your question, Eric, QT is a diva, but Danhausen, his debut, and I guess this is very fitting, but I literally instantly just thought of Orange Cassidy's debut. Like it felt very similar, just randomly showing up, like, and not in a typical debut way, or even better, like before peak Orange Cassidy, where something would be going on backstage and Orange Cassidy would just be in the background. The Inner Circle's brawling with someone. They open the bathroom door and Orange Cassidy is just in there, and they close the door. Like that's what this felt like, and it just immediately feels like they're going to use Danhausen perfectly. And I think we've talked about it like a while ago, but it'd be really nice to see him like going around faction to faction asking to be let in before eventually the best friends are just like, yeah, sure. We got an alien.
No, it's got to be Dark Order. It's got to be Dark Order.
That could be Dark Order too. That'd be fine.
Maybe he doesn't get a faction, but I was going to say Orange Cassidy did do something similar where I don't remember what type of match it was, but somebody pulled a ladder out from underneath the ring and he was laying on it.
Yeah.
Is Danhausen medically cleared?
Yes. Actually, I don't know.
He's had a schedule last I saw him tweet, but I don't know.
He's got to be within a few weeks that he debuted. I don't think they would do it if he wasn't at least close enough.
That's why I asked.
He definitely limped out of the stadium, though. At least it looked like he did.
All right. Okay. So Eric brings up a fair, I think, criticism that this is a problem I think AEW has in general, where they act like we all know these people when they debut. And I think it works with Danhausen, but like, if you guys think way back to like when the Butcher and the Blade debuted and Excalibur was like, oh, that's the Butcher and the Blade, of course. Like everyone knows that. Like they do. It's nice that they give us credit to think we know these things, but also sometimes they need to like, realize that some of the rest, the casual fans that bring it in aren't going to know who all these people are. Hell, like a good amount of people didn't know who Danhausen was a year ago, so you got to meet in the middle there. Like, you got to give us enough credit to know the crowd will pop. and then you explain why the crowd's popping, you explain why it's a big deal, then you fill in the blank for the rest of the people when you have a debut like this, so that everyone knows why it's a big deal and why the crowd is going crazy, instead of just assuming everyone knows.
I almost would have loved if like JR was just completely confused and didn't know who he was. Excalibur's like, it's Danhausen. JR's like, who the damn hell is Danhausen? And like Excalibur has to try to explain to JR who Danhausen is, which is borderline impossible.
You see, JR, have you ever watched Late Night with Conan O'Brien?
Yeah, fuck Jay Leno. I don't care about Kristen anymore.
Just to go back to random fan Eric's point, I'm of two minds on it. It's one of those things that when you treat it like a big deal coming in, even if you don't know it, I'm gonna be like, oh man, they're making him sound like a big deal. I want to go look up who this guy is. Right. If you treat it like a nobody, like who's that guy? I'm not going to know who that guy is, and it's going to be harder for me to Google them after the show or with what's going on. That said, and this is where I do agree, AEW does tend to drop the ball a little bit on week 2, where a nice promo package, a nice hype package could come in handy afterwards. Hell, I mean, that's what Rampage should be for. Like if something big happens on AEW, like a debut like Danhausen, have them on Rampage, have that like hype video where he just cuts the promo or you just see some of his past stuff. But I don't mind when they treat it like a big deal when like Butcher and the Blade. I agree. They are the perfect example of who the fuck are they when they debut. But because I heard, oh my God, that's the Butcher and the Blade. It's like, am I missing out on something? And I go to look up who they are. And I find nothing because they're the Butcher and the Blade.
Yeah, I mean, and in the chat brings up a good point again. Like times you didn't have to do that were like AJ Styles at the Rumble or Jericho back in 2000, which because those guys were big enough. And even then, like when Styles debuted, and I'm sure we're going to talk about our favorite Rumbles in our episode coming out later this week. So, but when Styles debuted, like they put him over so hard. Like I know a lot of people get upset with like Michael Cole's call of, could it be? Oh my, it is. Like, yeah, that wasn't great. But, JBL saying he held the IWGP Championship, like the same as Brock Lesnar, and Cole calling him the hottest free agent. Like they made him a big deal. And the crowd who knew who he was helped elevate that as well. So You're right. There's a line, and AEW occasionally just doesn't find it, but that does seem like a bit of a nitpick. I don't know. When you're doing wrestling this well, at least in my opinion, you can nitpick for stuff like this. But yeah, let's get into one last thing here before we end the show and get into the actual match in which Danhausen debuted, which was the lights out match between Orange Cassidy and Adam Cole. Baby. This match was good. I don't think it was as good as the other lights out matches, which is a very high bar. Definitely not as much blood, especially after the Britt Baker one. But I thought James, I thought they did a really good job of telling a really solid story here.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And on all points, I don't think this needed to be a lights out match. I think the only reason it was a lights out unsanctioned match was so Adam Cole could get the loss without it affecting his record. Because otherwise this could have just been a no DQ match and it would have been fine.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That said, the match itself was enjoyable for what it was. Like if you take away the title of it, I think it is a good match. I liked the best friends coming out. I'm glad to see Rocky's doing well. I know we had the COVID scare with him, so I'm glad to see that he was able to be there tonight. But it was cool to see the best friends get involved. It was cool to see most of the elite get involved. It was a little weird that Kyle O'Reilly wasn't there, but I do remember that he did just have his baby like a few days ago, a week ago. So maybe that's why he's still at home. But by the way, congratulations, Kyle. That's really cool of you, but
hopefully he gets more than a week of paternity leave.
Right. But I mean, free Ali. But he, it was a fun story. They're definitely building towards this gang warfare of the elite versus the best friends, and the numbers are still a little askew, but we're getting there hopefully. And it was a good match. The ending, I'll be honest, fell a little flat for me. Not necessarily because I didn't like the bump. The bump was fine. It was more that I felt like it took way too long for the bump to actually happen. Like, I'm seeing Adam Cole just sort of while Orange is like limp wrist hugging him for like what feels like an eternity. But it was fine for what it was. And I think both men really delivered. Every match I see it, I forget, like up until I see it again, how good Orange's Superman punch is. And it's just a great move. And both guys just, hit their best spots. It was a good match. It was fun.
Honestly, I thought the hug thing kind of worked because the best friends are always hugging like that. So that's why Orange has like the ability to super hug and Cole couldn't get out. But Dan, you were making a face there for a second. Now I want to know why.
It's just because James was talking, really. But I almost agree because I didn't mind the hug at all because, yeah, like you kind of said, everything kind of works for Cassidy. And I thought, and this is more maybe on AEW, like I don't think they got the best camera angle for this, but like Cole was vulnerable. Cassidy hugs him. Cole starts coming too, and then looking down and looking at Cassidy and looking back down and like, shaking his head. And I thought that was pretty funny actually. And I enjoyed that because it fits with Cassidy. Like that is how he would end a freaking unsanctioned, lights out, supposed to be brutal and gory match. He would end it in a very silly kind of way. So I didn't have a problem with that. I just felt like getting up to that was almost a slog. Like especially after having the ladder match to open the show, like I was not big on this match until like all the shenanigans started happening. Like I also thought, I noticed O'Reilly not being there, and because they were in Cleveland, and because we all kind of thought Gargano was going to debut, when O'Reilly never came out, I thought that was going to factor in to the end, and then Gargano was going to come out, and so part of that's us. We did that. We've been saying since Gargano left, like, oh, this show's going to be in Cleveland, like you can come out with the best friends, and all the signs were there, but we kind of did that to ourselves. So we kind of worked ourselves into a shoot there, and ultimately I didn't think the match was good. Like, don't get me wrong. It was just, yeah, like you said, Rev, it was by far the worst of the lights out matches, which, isn't too much of a damnation considering what those first two ones were. But yeah, I just left a lot to be desired to end on, but it makes sense. You have to end on the lights out match. So
yeah, it was almost not comical, but it was like a funnier lights out match, especially compared to the other two. I am just happy somebody actually wore a cup after getting punched in the dick for 3 straight weeks.
I'm happy Cassidy won a freaking match.
We gave up on the Squarehouses. But yeah, the entire Shinsuke Nakamura AJ Styles feud in WWE could have been solved if one of them just put a cup on, and it went for 4 months.
You're right.
I'm glad somebody actually used one, and the thumbtacks was an extra, nice little extra wrinkle to it. Chad, your thoughts, please.
This was actually my first technical lights out match. I've seen, I think the other one's on YouTube. So this was the first live one I saw, televised or whatever. It was okay. It was cool. Like, I'm with Danny, when you have such a ladder match to start the show off, it kind of fell flat for me. But I still enjoyed it. The spot was okay. Whatever.
Yeah. I love
seeing Orange Cassidy. So
I'm gonna ask a dumb question.
Excuse me.
Does Beach Break always happen in January? I forget.
It always happens in winter.
Yeah, I think it's like a joke, like they like go on vacation to the beach, but it was in Cleveland.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like the beach didn't play into it at all, other than the friggin' promo.
Yeah, like you would think like they would have that one in like Miami or something, or even back in Daly's place, is somewhere in or by the beach.
Chad, have Hobbs in the snow and shit.
Yeah, they did the last few weeks in Carolina. They got a beach in Hillhead, but.
Chad, I'm sorry that I interrupted you, but when you said that this was your first lights out match, I was thinking about like what that would mean, like with the history one with Beach Break and everything, because I think this is your first Beach Break too. And
it is.
I don't get it.
It wasn't phenomenal, but I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
AEW is AEW, like you guys said. It's tough to nitpick. Well, it's easy to nitpick when the quality of
Yeah.
of everything is so superior.
Yeah, and like they always bring it. AEW always brings it for these like branded shows, like Fight for the Fallen and Winter is Coming, and now this. So it being a very good show is not surprising to me.
Right.
And Chad, I know you mentioned like the lights out match had to be the main event, because it was lights out. But also too, I think it's important to mention that AEW is putting main event level matches, if not what should be the main event, on to in the first slot, because they're leading the lead in from Big Bang Theory is a huge number. So they're trying to keep people around and draw the audience in from that. Plus also too, I don't think basketball tips till like 8:15.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so they have a few minutes there in the beginning where they don't have a direct competitor. So putting on a match like that ladder match in the beginning is a really smart move.
And it was great.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you had never watched wrestling and you saw them, you start with the TNT title ladder match and the titles are hanging there and you hear it's a ladder match, you might be inclined to stick around for a few minutes before flipping over to the NBA.
I have a hot take. I think I actually would rather the climax quickly. Pause.
Phrasing.
Yeah, phrasing. I think I would. I like the excitement to start with, and then just let the rest coast. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, and it's not even like coasting. Like obviously, like you have your ups, your highs and your lows throughout the show because you can't burn people out. Like as much as I enjoyed the match, like the Red Velvet, legit Layla Hirsch match, was a bit of a cool down. It was just something that everyone regain their energy, enjoy a good wrestling match, and then here's your lights out match.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's how it's going to be the whole time. You had Britt Baker was on. I think Britt was on around 9:00. So she's the top of the hour stuff. So actually, you know what? The MJF Punk match was the top, or not match, promo was the top of the hour. So it's it's stuff like that the way the show goes, and I think them going main event at the beginning is just a really smart move, like I said before. Does anybody have anything else that they want to discuss from this Dynamite, or are we about done here?
James looks like he unironically loves Big Bang Theory.
Ow.
I've said a lot of mean things to you, but
no, that's okay. I don't have feelings. It's okay. It's okay.
Dave, if you said that to me, I might have to fight you. You've been trying to get us to fight people. I might have to fight you if you said that to me. All right, but before an all-out brawl breaks out here, I'd like to thank you everybody for watching. We're gonna try to do this every Wednesday. So let us know how it was and if we could tweak anything. Be sure to like our Royal Rumble preview episode coming out later this week. Like and subscribe to the channel because, as we always say, we need to get James to do this rap. So please subscribe to the channel. And we'll hopefully see you next week right here on the Market Down Podcast. Have a good night, everybody.